Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer on the Foundry, brought to you by Forge College. Today, we're unpacking the engineering blueprint for designing efficient account query endpoints. You know, if you want your decentralized applications to be lightning fast, and let's be real, who doesn't, you absolutely need a robust, structured way to pull data from the blockchain. So, in this session, we're going to lay out the precise schematic for doing exactly that. Let's dive in.
Okay, picture this. You walk into a coffee shop, you order a single shot of espresso, and the barista hands you a 50-pound bag of raw beans, a roasting machine, and, I don't know, a slightly confused farmer. They just look at you and say, hey, good luck finding your drink. Sounds completely ridiculous, right? But believe it or not, that's essentially what happens when developers force their client-side apps to download massive amounts of raw blockchain data just to find one tiny account balance. So we really have to ask ourselves, why fetch the whole blockchain when you just need one number? Well, today we're fixing that exact problem by building a smart filter.
So here's our technical schematic for today's build. First, from wallets to data. Second, designing API parameters. Third, filtering and projection. Fourth, opaque cursors. And finally, validating responses. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, from wallets to data. So, if you recall our previous blueprint, we focused entirely on wallet integration and user authentication. That was essentially the mechanics of proving who a user is. But today, we're shifting gears. We're moving from the question of who are you to what exactly do you need? The big challenge here is efficiently extracting the precise data a user needs from the Solana network, but doing it without, crashing their browser or completely melting their mobile data plan. And that brings us to the core issue we're tackling, the heavy payload problem. See, massive accounts just drag everything down. They slow down your endpoints, eat up bandwidth, and make your clients incredibly brittle. If we don't build a smart REST endpoint using Express and TypeScript to act as a highly selective filter, we're basically dropping a literal ocean of binary data right onto a tiny web front end. We absolutely must make our server do the heavy lifting here, so the client doesn't have to sweat it. Moving right along to section 2, designing your API parameters. Take a look at our parameter contract here. Notice that program ID, which is the string identifying the smart contract program whose accounts we want to query, is actually the only required key. The others, filters, fields, limit, and cursor, they're all completely optional. Think of them as the dials and levers that fine-tune our engine. You want just the balance? Just use the fields parameter. Need to cap the results so your app doesn't just freeze up? Set a limit. It's all about giving the client total control over the query without compromising the stability of the server. Okay, let's jump right into section 3, server-side filtering and projection.
So projection, which you might also hear called field selection, is the act of decoding raw account data bytes into clean named JSON fields. And this is the absolute most important part, returning only the specific keys requested by the client. We are surgically extracting exactly what is necessary. If the user just asks for the owner address and the balance, well, that is exactly and only what our API sends back over the wire. No extra fluff. Let's trace the exact flow of data through this API architecture. Step 1, the request hits our Express server. Step 2, the endpoint safely parses those parameters we just mapped out. Step 3, it queries the Solana RPC or maybe a dedicated indexer. And Step 4, it projects that data and returns a minimal, beautifully structured JSON payload. This keeps the mapping layer completely isolated. That means your client app never has to wrestle with decoding raw blockchain bytes ever again. Pretty sweet, right? I like to think of our API as a really smart librarian. When you want to know a single fact for a research paper, you don't carry the entire bookshelf home with you, do you? No, you ask the librarian, and they photocopy only the exact sentence you need. That is exactly why server-side filtering is vastly superior to client-side sorting. In the courses and learning programs we design at Forge College, we constantly emphasize this principle. Protect your client by making your server the smart librarian. Next up is section 4, navigating with opaque cursors. All right, let's decode a somewhat mysterious engineering term, the opaque cursor. It's basically a string that encodes the last returned account's public key along with a sequence token, and it's used to resume scanning efficiently. The word opaque here just means the client doesn't need to understand what's actually inside of it. They literally just hand it right back to the server on the next request. Think of it as a highly precise digital bookmark.
Consider the contrast between traditional offset pagination and cursor pagination. Offsets are kind of like telling a book to start from page 1 and count 5,000 pages in. It gets slower and way more resource intensive the further you go, because the database has to physically count every single row. Cursors, on the other hand, just jump straight to that specific bookmark. Solana indexers absolutely love cursors because they scale beautifully. They ensure stable, incremental reads across massive account lists without grinding your server to a halt.
And finally, Section 5, validating your JSON responses. Okay, let's dive right into these quality assurance boundaries. Before our server ever sends a single byte of data back to a client, we need strict unit testing and validation in place. First, we must validate parameter parsing, like, did the user actually send a valid base 58 public key? Second, we must enforce schema matching using tools like AJV, which is a JSON validator, just to ensure the JSON shape is identical every single time. Third, we have to verify our cursor mechanics. And finally, we need robust error signaling.
Now, this strict validation naturally leads us to the HTTP 400 status code. Our server must firmly and cleanly reject unknown fields or bad parameters. If a client asks for a limit of 1,000 when our server's maximum is strictly 100, we don't crash, and we definitely don't just ignore it. Instead, we return a clean 400 error with a clear, machine-readable explanation of exactly what went wrong. Predictability and clear boundaries are absolutely everything in Web3 API engineering. As we prepare for the next step in this track, which is implementing webhook subscriptions and verification, keep this in mind. Once your API responses are stable, structured, and completely predictable, webhook event correlation becomes an absolute breeze. By doing this work now, you're setting yourself up for massive success downstream. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If your endpoints can surgically extract exactly what they need without wasting a single byte of bandwidth, how fast can you scale your decentralized app? When you master these techniques, the bottleneck is no longer the data. It's simply your imagination. I highly encourage you to explore more Web3 engineering content and really master these concepts by visiting forge.college. It is packed with resources to take your skills to the next level. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.